open. Tonight, I think it was a three-point game when we had the ball out of bounds, and we threw a full-court alley-oop that ricocheted off the backboard, and then it just started this run for the Knicks. We've got to value the ball. And, you know, the turnovers tonight was 15-6. That's a hard game to win on its face. But I do think that some of our turnovers right now are self-inflicted, and we need to do a better job as a team, as a staff, as a group, as a whole, of recognizing the situations. That would be not recognizing a situation. See what I'm talking about? Like, it happens to everybody. Like, recognizing the situations that are happening in the game and understanding that we're not just hooping. We're trying to win. And we've got to value the ball, and I feel like at times we just get loose and we think that we're just kind of playing an up and down game with another team, and that's not how we've changed our season. That's not how we've changed the identity of our team. I think we've been very connected in terms of what's happening in the game. The connectivity of the group in terms of want to and not blaming each other and we're all competing together is still very present. The part that has slipped the last couple of games is the connectivity of the group in terms of what's happening in the game. How are they guarding us? How am I being guarded? And what does that mean that I have to do to help my teammates and help my team? We have some ill-advised ISOs against matchups that don't make sense, and we have poor timing of some decisions and some bad play calling by me, and I mean, it's everybody. So yeah, it's time to get back to Utah.
You talked about this last night, Will, but when you're in that spot in the third quarter again for second straight night, and things start to go the other way, kind of what is going through your mind as you're watching that sort of level out?
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to settle things down with a play call. You're trying to communicate to the team what we need to do next. But again, it's all happening in real time, and this is 2 nights in a row also where, like, we never got let off the hook with a missed shot in that moment, where sometimes the breaks of the game can help you. Like, you have a bad play and they get an open one and they just miss, and everybody gets to kind of exhale together and go, okay, let's regroup. Tonight wasn't one of those nights. You know, we did a poor job of locating Dante on some possessions, and some of them were offensive rebound kickouts, and some possessions where I'm not really sure what to tell the team. But you know, it's a collective thing, and I think that's what we're hunting. Like, I've talked a lot this year about, like, we're a program that we're building towards hunting a championship. Like, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to learn how to win as a group, and the first part of that is understanding what's happening around you and what situation you're in. You know, being able to all see something and all be seeing the same thing is when you're at your best. That's what all the best teams have. And that's what we're trying to get to, is a place where some things don't need to be said. We all understand what's going on, and we all understand what we need to do next.
How do you combat a team that's as physical as the Knicks, and even the Nets last night, without getting off of, you know, the things that you do best on both ends of the floor?
You know, physicality is hard to, you know, whip up out of thin air. You know, we've played physical teams and held our own. I think everybody has to do it as a group on every possession, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting physically, it's exhausting mentally, because when you don't have one person who can just gobble up 15 defensive rebounds by themselves because of their size, it takes everybody, and on any given possession, one person not doing their job can cost you the rebound. You know, the Knicks are relentless going to the glass. I think Hartenstein, you know, I obviously don't live in this media market. I don't know how much he's talked about, but like, watching him on film, his value is unbelievable. The guy is everywhere. And even the ones he doesn't get, he's occupying so many people on the glass. He's relentless, and so you have to match that on every single possession. And the one time you slip up, he taps it back out or he gets the rebound. So yeah, it's not about like straying from our identity. I think it's about getting back to what we've done well. We recognize that we're not the biggest team in the world, so that gives us some advantages in some other areas, but that means that we can't get pushed around physically by leaving people on an island to do those jobs one-on-one.
How much of that, what you talk about, is kind of personnel based in terms of like, you know, Simone starting, who hasn't started a ton before, Colin in a new role, Chris in a new role, Lowry, you know, like, does that make that harder, that like, hey, when you are, you know, kind of a pressure situation that maybe it's not your first thought to keep carrying the ball and just execute?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's in new roles, or roles that maybe they haven't had in the past as much. You know, we talk about those things. I've talked about those things with you guys as it relates to end of game at times, but it's the same thing in that moment in the third quarter with 3 minutes left. Like, it's a time when, you know, you want someone to recognize it and say like, hey, let's get something good. And again, it's partly my responsibility too. Like, I'm not absolving myself of what's going on out there. You know, we've got a lot of people that are in new roles. It's why the communication piece I talk about so much, because it's fragile. Like, it can slip for a second and then all of a sudden you're kind of off the rails. I have to stay tuned into that. They have to stay tuned into that. They have to be looking for the communication. You know, the part of communication that's not talked about enough is listening. Like, we've got to, when we sit in a timeout and we talk about something, we've got to be able to walk out a minute and a half later and on that first possession execute it. But fatigue and the wandering mind thinking about, I missed my last 2 shots or whatever it is, an assistant coach said something to me when I came and sat down, like, what are we really thinking about in those moments? It's what we're all trying to do. I'm trying to always, you know, be hard on myself about like, man, I wish I had said this in that timeout, or I wish I had talked to Colin at that free throw and not Chris, or I wish I had communicated with Kelly and not Lowry, you know, whatever it is, because I don't get an opportunity to speak to everybody. So it's all of us being in different positions. I think that's what makes our team fun and exciting, and it brings you that energy to it every day, because like, we are doing it as a group. We're not just watching one person play. We're not letting one person make every decision for everyone else. But with that comes moments of like, we've all got to be playing the same song or else it's going to sound horrible.